During Christmas, cities really transform and become much more colorful. They are full of lights, and no matter how big or small, each and every town has its own Christmas tree for everyone to enjoy. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Color Art Emotion. As very soon as Christmas time, I thought of doing a little watercolor painting with a Christmas tree in the city, without having any particular city in mind. So, I'm starting with a quick pencil sketch, first with suggesting a light silhouette of the Christmas tree on the left of the composition that will be our focal point, placed in the middle ground. Then, we can also add a few buildings in the background to suggest that we are actually in a city. These buildings converge to a vanishing point somewhere to the left, and I guess they will be buildings simply aligned along the street. And, of course, it's not only about the moment and the place, it's also about the people, so let's also add a few figures in the scene, here in the foreground. And now that we have a light sketch in place, we can start watercolor painting. I will be using my soft watercolor brush and start with making a mix for the sky with cobalt blue and raw sienna. By mixing these two pigments, we will get a nice gray. So, I'm suggesting a small part of the sky, as in the rest of the background we'll have the buildings we were talking about. Then, I continue suggesting a few buildings in the background, also with a gray. This time a bit more warm gray. As they are aligned along the street and there will be snow on the ground, we will mainly see the upper parts. I'm being careful to paint around the Christmas tree and keep the area of the tree white for now. I'm making again a neutral tint by mixing browns and blues, and I've also changed to my round synthetic brush. Synthetic brushes are easier to control. You can almost sort of draw with them. And here you see me suggesting a few windows, a few details, and I'm using warm colors, mostly browns and yellows, in this way suggesting the warm light coming from inside. I'm making big windows on the ground floor to suggest shops that might be here. and the buildings turned out looking a bit like they are made from wood, which I think is nice and cozy. And this is more or less the background, but it's Christmas time, so let's start painting the Christmas tree. First, I will clean my brush and then go over the paper with a bit of clean water here and there, somehow following a zigzag path. I'm doing this first because where the paper becomes moist, the pigment will softly spread around, and where the paper stays dry, the pigment will stop moving around. In this way, we can keep a few white areas that will soon suggest the snow. Now that I did this, I can take a bit of green, actually a mix of sap green and raw sienna, a bit of raw sienna, and start to paint the Christmas tree, also in a zigzag way, here and there, trying to keep a few white areas. I'm painting a bit more carefully the outline, using wet on dry, and in this way we'll get a few sharp edges. Sometimes I'm adding a bit more green directly from the pan just to have more saturated parts. And to create even more color variance, I try to introduce another green, a cobalt turquoise, a pigment that is a bit colder than sap green. What I'm thinking is that some parts are warmer because they are close to the light, to the ornaments that we'll soon paint, and some parts are a colder green because they are in the shadow. I'm also adding a bit of brown here and there to suggest some of the branches. Now it's time to suggest a few ornaments and lights and make this Christmas tree more colorful. So, I'm starting with cadmium orange from my Winsor & Newton watercolor set, and I'm just adding a few orange dots here and there, and also some yellow ones. And because the paper is still quite damp, the pigment spreads around and blends softly with the green. It's like the ornaments create light around them. but once the paper dries, we will come with more saturated pigment over them. I'm also softening the lower part of the tree where it meets the snow and suggesting a path in the snow left by the people walking around. As the paper dried a bit, we can come back with more saturated pigment over the ornaments. And at this point, I think the Christmas tree turned out quite nice. We can now start suggesting a few figures in the scene. I start by making a mix of blue and white gouache and quickly suggesting a figure, here, on the right of the composition. I guess this person is probably on the way back home. And now that we have all the main elements painted, let's add some snow in the scene. For this, I'll be using again white gouache and start by suggesting a few big snowflakes. I'm just placing a few dots here and there, trying to suggest the wind blowing the snow from the left, following the same direction as the people rushing to get back home where it's nice and warm. And then, with more white and the help of a toothbrush, I'm trying to suggest a bit more snow. Now we can remove the tape and see our little Christmas time watercolor painting. Merry Christmas, everyone! I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas time. Take care and have a lot of fun sketching and painting.